I kind of felt like I'd already died and gone to heaven because
They knocked the door down. Everybody jumped over my body.
I get very, very scared, and I run, I grab Adam, he's passed out.
This can't be good, and I'm fucking freaked out.
Today we'll dive into the chilling close calls of some of the world's biggest celebrities, from shocking accidents to terrifying moments that nearly cost them everything. First up, the shark story. Leo was in South Africa doing one of those cage dives where you get lowered into the water and the sharks swim around. Out of nowhere, a giant great white shark jumped halfway into the cage with him. Imagine being trapped in a metal box while a shark is thrashing just inches from your head.
they actually said in 30 years this has never happened, but the tuna kind of got stuck on the top of the cage, and the great white leapt out and tried to bite it, and it went into the cage with me, and half of its body was in and out, and I flattened down at the bottom. And it was this far away, and it chomped a few times, but I survived it.
Most people would chill after an experience like that, but not Leo. He decides to go skydiving. So he jumps with an instructor, and the first parachute doesn't open. Not great, but no worries, there's a backup, except that one's tangled too. Now picture this. Leo's just plummeting toward the ground while his instructor is yanking at the chute like he's trying to shake crumbs off a blanket. Finally, the thing untangles and opens, but before Leo can even relax, the instructor hits him with, "We're going way too fast. Your legs might break when we land."
So it was one of the worst experiences of my life, and I'll never do it again.
And did you break your legs?
I did not break my leg.
Wow.
And just when you think that's enough, story number 3, the plane. Leo was flying business class when he looked out the window and saw the entire wing explode in a giant fireball. The engine shut off and the whole plane was just gliding, silent, with everyone frozen in shock. He said it was so surreal, just sitting there, waiting. After a couple of minutes, the pilots restarted the engines and made an emergency landing at JFK.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs saying, "What the hell is going on here?" And these people just kind of looked back to me, and the stewardess came out and said, "We seem to have a slight problem here." And we basically dumped fuel for 45 minutes and did an emergency landing, and all our tires exploded, and there was 100 different ambulances there, and it was on CNN, and that was another bummer.
Now, speaking of planes, Post Malone had his own terrifying ride. In August 2018, Post was on a private jet taking off from New Jersey when 2 of the tires blew out. The jet had to circle for hours dumping fuel before making an emergency landing in New York. Post tweeted after, "I landed, guys. Thank you for your prayers. Can't believe how many people wish death on me, but not today."
Looking back at it, the wing was fucked. And I didn't know the wing kind of blew in half, when I was fucking in it, or even outside. I just looked at the wheel and both of the wheels were popped. And then, but it's easy to look like, oh, he's just overreacting. Shit was scary, okay? It's tough stuff, but we made it. Oh, we just landed fine.
But his bad luck wasn't done yet. Less than 3 weeks later, Post was riding in his white Rolls Royce in West Hollywood when another car smashed into it. His car went into a fence and some bushes, but somehow no one was hurt. After that happened, he just tweeted, "God must hate me."
All right, man, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I guess so, man.
And the other people are right too?
God hates me, huh?
Nah, not at all, man. God loves you, brother.
God's gotta hate me.
In August 2008, Morgan Freeman was driving a friend's 1997 Nissan Maxima late at night in rural Mississippi. A woman named Damaris Meyer was with him in the car when, just after midnight, it suddenly veered off Highway 32, rolled several times, and crashed into a ditch. First responders had to cut them both out using the jaws of life.
I was watching television and heard a car begin to slide. As I looked up and out the window, what I did see was a vehicle sliding off the highway. And what I was able to see was the headlights of the vehicle as well as the taillights spinning over and over.
Freeman stayed conscious the whole time, calm, even joking with rescuers as they worked. 2 days later, surgeons performed a 4-hour operation to repair his shoulder, arm, and elbow. The surgery saved his arm, but the nerve damage was permanent. Freeman later explained, "I almost cut my arm off and suffered nerve damage as a result. "I have dead fingers." On top of that, he developed fibromyalgia in the same arm, with shooting pains he's described as excruciating. He often wears a compression glove to manage the swelling. So Freeman managed to walk away from the crash, but the pain never left. He's lived with it every day since. Yet he kept working, proving his resilience both on and off screen. Jason Statham has made a career out of looking fearless. Fast cars, high-speed chases, diving off skyscrapers. He does the kind of stunts that would terrify almost anyone. But in 2013, one of those stunts almost killed him. During rehearsal for The Expendables 3, Statham climbed into a 3-ton stunt truck. The plan was simple: drive, hit the brakes, stop on cue. Easy, except when he slammed the pedal, nothing happened.
His brakes did not work.
The truck kept rolling forward straight off a pier and it started sinking into the sea. Statham was trapped inside.
I was just sitting there like, oh my God, I just watched a person die. I didn't know what to do. I'm like waiting for the ambulance, this whole thing. All I knew is that, stay out of the way, don't panic. And then all of a sudden, out of the water, here comes Jason. He was a professional diver. That was his thing, man. If it would have been me, I don't know, it would have ended that well.
I was getting my hair done. I was filming.
I'm going 9 feet over the edge of this sort of concrete jetty, and I'm going down towards the Black Sea, thinking, I've got to get out of this. This is ridiculous. So I'm trying to prise myself from behind the wheel to get out the window. The windows are down. The truck hits the water just slams me back, and we just sinking fast, straight to the bottom. So 60 feet at the bottom of the Black Sea, stuck in the mud, thinking, hang on a minute, how am I going to get out of this? This is how it ends. You have to get the composure, you have to, the survival sort of kicks in, and you pull yourself out the window, you start grabbing at the water and trying to get to the surface.
Did you see anything? Was it dark?
Nah, I mean, they don't call it the Black Sea for no reason.
I'm sorry, I think I should have...
No, literally, I couldn't even see my hand. I mean,
You're like, yeah.
Yeah, a total nightmare.
Yeah.
And, eventually I, come out at the surface.
Jason Statham doesn't just play a tough guy in movies. That day he proved it. One wrong move, 1 second slower, and there would be no Jason Statham films left to watch. Most people know Kanye West was in a car accident back in 2002. But what most people don't realize is just how serious it really was. On October 23rd, 2002, Kanye was driving home from a late night studio session in Los Angeles. He was behind the wheel of a rented Lexus when he fell asleep and drifted into oncoming traffic. The collision was devastating. Kanye's jaw was shattered in 3 different places. He broke his nose, he lost several teeth. Surgeons had to wire his jaw shut just to put his face back together. Now here's where the legend begins. Just 2 weeks after the crash, jaw still wired shut, Kanye went into the studio. He recorded through the wire, literally rapping through clenched teeth, every word muffled but powerful. That track changed everything. It turned his accident into a symbol of survival, and it opened the door for his debut album, The College Dropout. Without that crash, Kanye's career might never have taken off the way it did.
To nearly lose your life, to nearly lose your mouth, your voice as a career as a rapper, your face. I had to be on TV. My face looks crazy to me now. Y'all probably look at it and think it's normal, but I feel very self-conscious about certain things. Look how my mouth, it looks like you can't even see my bottom teeth when I talk. You always see the top teeth, and that's not how I used to be. I recorded the song Through the Wire 2 weeks later with my mouth still wired shut. I felt like even if the song didn't blow up, that once other songs did blow up, which I knew they would, people would just look back and say, man, do you remember his first song? He recorded it with his mouth wired shut. He's crazy.
We know Lil Wayne is one of the biggest rappers in the world, but he almost didn't make it past childhood. Back in 1994 in New Orleans, 12-year-old Dwayne Carter was home alone with his mom's gun, and he accidentally shot himself in the chest. He collapsed on the floor, bleeding out. At first, police officers who arrived thought it was just another troubled kid in a rough neighborhood.
I was in the house. Police knocked on the door. I was right there. They knocked the door down. Everybody jumped over my body to go get the guns and drugs and whatever they could find. It took one guy to stop right there and cuss everybody that hopped over me out. Like, what the f are y'all doing? They say, oh, no, we was gonna see if it, what the are y'all doing? We called the ambulance. A ambulance, do you not see this kid on the floor with this hole in his chest? I say, you drive, pick me up. Brought me to the hospital. He didn't drop me off at the ambulance and say, you take him. He brought me to the hospital room and made two and stood there and waited till the doctor said he's gonna make it. He said, don't worry, my name's Uncle Bob. He was white as snow. The that hopped over me was blacker than me.
Was he a cop?
Yeah, he was a cop, and my life was saved by a white man. I don't know what racism is. I know a good named Uncle Bob, though.
Wayans had plenty of close calls since, collapsing mid-flight, seizures, nights in the ICU, but nothing compares to that first brush with death back in New Orleans. That single day changed the trajectory of his entire life.
There's a man in New Orleans. His name is Uncle Bob. Came into an apartment one day. He busted in the door, guns drawn. He saw nobody. He saw legs on the floor. It was my legs. He saw blood everywhere. He refused to wait. He kicked in the doors. He said, you get whatever you gotta do and you make sure this child make it. This man has 2 amputated legs. He refused to stop. He's not in a wheelchair. He's walking. You know what he asked for? A job. To Uncle Bob, to you two, I refuse to stop. Thank you.
Back in the year 2000, when 50 Cent was just Curtis Jackson, a hustler from Queens, New York, he came closer to death than almost any rapper in history. On May 24, 2000, 50 was sitting in the backseat of a car outside his grandmother's house when another car pulled up. A gunman stepped out with a 9mm pistol and opened fire. 9 shots at close range. 50 was hit in the hand, arm, hip, legs, and even in the face. 1 bullet went straight through his cheek, knocking out teeth and leaving his tongue permanently swollen. Somehow he didn't die. His bodyguard pushed him into the back seat and they sped to the hospital. Doctors rushed him into surgery and he spent 13 days in recovery. The man who pulled the trigger didn't last long himself. He was dead within weeks. As for why it happened, no one ever nailed down a single answer. Whispers of gang rivalries, drug money, rap beefs, take your pick. 50 never stopped naming names, but the real point is simple. Somebody wanted him gone.
I looked at that experience as something that was unfortunate that I had to experience.
I forget, why did the guy shoot you 9 times? Was it drugs or something?
He was paid to do it.
He was paid to do it?
It's karma.
Karma?
Karma?
Explain to me again why this guy was hired to shoot you 9 times.
Well, he was paid because someone, felt like that I would potentially do something to them if they kept going in the direction that they were going.
Pain-wise, how bad is it to get shot in the face? I
don't know how to describe that outside of, it's not really because it's not as painful as having to visit the dentist repeatedly for root canal.
In 2008, Travis Barker, drummer of Blink-182, survived a plane crash that became one of the most devastating tragedies in modern music. On September the 19th, Travis boarded a private jet in South Carolina after playing a show. With him were his friend Adam DJ AM Goldstein, his assistant, his bodyguard, and 2 pilots. The plan was a quick flight to Los Angeles, but just seconds into takeoff, something went horribly wrong. A tire blew out, the plane skidded down the runway, overshot the tarmac, and burst into flames. The pilots tried to abort but lost control. In an instant, the jet turned into a fireball. Everyone on board was trapped. Both pilots were killed instantly. Travis's assistant and bodyguard didn't make it out either. Travis and DJ AM were the only survivors. But survival came at a price. Travis's body was covered in 3rd-degree burns. He was engulfed in flames, running across the runway with his skin literally melting off.
Well, when I jumped, I caught fire trying to go to the front of the plane to save my 2 friends and get to the pilots possibly, and I caught fire. I, get very, very scared and I run, I grab Adam, he's passed out. I open the emergency exit, I jump into the jet fuel. So my whole body is engulfed in flames at this point. Adam sees me jump into the actual jets and become fully on fire, and he jumps around. So someone in a car, people are screaming and they say, just like what we learn in school, stop, drop, and roll. And I hear it and I do exactly that. And then the only place Adam got burnt is, You know, my feet were soaked in jet fuel. So he actually patted out my feet and he ended up burning himself on his arm and a little bit on the back of his head.
He spent 3 months in the hospital, endured 27 surgeries, and had burns on more than 65% of his body. The trauma didn't stop there. Travis developed PTSD. For over a decade, he refused to step on another plane. The only way he traveled was by tour bus or by boat. But here's where it gets even worse. Less than a year after the crash, DJ AM, the only other survivor, tragically died of a drug overdose. That left Travis as the sole survivor. Travis has admitted that the pain and survivor's guilt drove him into depression and addiction. But in the end, he fought through it. Years of recovery, therapy, and music kept him alive, and in 2021, 13 years after the crash, he finally boarded a plane again, with his now wife Kourtney Kardashian by his side. Most people know Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, the superhero with perfect aim, but in January 2023, Renner's biggest fight wasn't on a movie set, it was for his life. It happened on New Year's Day near his home in Nevada. After a massive snowstorm, Renner was using his 14,000-pound snow plow to clear the roads for his family. At one point, his nephew's truck got stuck in the snow.
Got out to tell me something, and then that's when it started coming at me like full force.
He tried to jump on it?
He tried to jump on it into the thing, and it took him under.
Renner jumped out to help when suddenly the vehicle began rolling on its own. It was heading straight toward his nephew. Without thinking, Renner ran back to stop it, but in that split second he slipped and got pulled under the treads. The 7-ton machine rolled directly over him. The damage was brutal. More than 30 broken bones, his chest collapsed, his skull fractured, one of his eyes even popped from the socket. He was bleeding out in the snow while his nephew and neighbors tried to keep him alive until help arrived.
Yeah, it's everything. It's like, it's 38 broken bones and eyeballs out.
Oh my God.
And it's, all the doctors were like, dude, I don't know how your eye's still operating or still working, but so I just kind of rolled onto it, just like maybe I could kind of put the eye on ice until I could figure out how to breathe.
Oh my God.
I had to sort of laugh at it because, yeah, it was like a lot of ribs and all my spiral fracture and my legs, all my joints were broken, all my ankles, my knees, none of my spine, and I only got a laceration in my liver from one of the ribs breaking in a couple spots, and it went down and kind of stabbed it, but it didn't really mess it up too bad, so that's okay. But all my organs, my brain, I don't think there's any brain damage.
It's insane how close some of these celebrities came to not being here. If you want more wild stories like these, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stick around.